Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Ladies and gentlemen, when this episode drops, it's going to be April 1st. That's right, April Fool's Day. But I'm not a fool, and you're not dreaming. This is, without a doubt, one of my bucket list interviews of all time. Please help me welcome to Straight Talk Wrestling, the best pizza chef ever, Luigi Primo.
I'm Luigi Primo. I make the best pizza. How are you doing it today, George?
I'm doing it great. Luigi, you do make the best pizza. You do. But I have to ask, how does one balance being the best pizza chef in the world and also being one of the best wrestlers that's out there today?
Well, I think really what I have to offer to the world of wrestling and to entertainment at large is that I not only can make a pizza, but I'm also a wrestler. And I combine those two things as a one synchronous art. So finding that a calculus and that a balance of making a pizza and the wrestling is a one thing that I am confident in saying I am a better at it doing than anybody in history.
That's true. No, I can't.
I mean, there are arguments. There are some arguments that can't be made.
Sure.
But we would have needed to take them as they come because not a lot of people can give me examples. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
You know what? Vinny Massaro is in the running, but he doesn't make a pizza. Yeah. He eats a pizza. Yeah. He eats a good pizza. Yeah. And he does that very well, and he's an excellent wrestler. And he's also Italian.
So that's good. That's good. That's a representation all around. Now, I have to ask you this. I mean, this is, maybe you probably get this question a lot, but what is the ultimate pizza topping? This is a very serious question.
Yeah, I would say for a question this broad and this philosophically deep, the answer is simple. It's merely a cheese.
Oh, perfect.
A cheese. It's the foundation in such a way that people might not even consider it a topping. But think about the different types of a cheese that become a topping, that you have to pay $2 extra, $3 extra, $4 extra. Gorgonzola, ricotta, Gouda cheese. These are all premium toppings. And because it's so fundamental, I think it's the best topping. I'm Luigi Primo.
You know what? I will not argue with you. Now, I mean, myself, this might hurt my chances for the rest of this conversation, so I apologize in advance. I do enjoy the occasional pizza with pineapple on it.
Ooh, that's a tough.
I know.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Now, the question I have about a pineapple is how do you cook the pizza? Because when you put the pineapple on a pizza, it's got the brown, thick rind and the green spines on the top. So wouldn't that ruin the pizza if you cook the pineapple on it? And then when you eat it, it would that brown outer layer, wouldn't that hurt your mouth and tear up your esophagus? That's really my main question about a pineapple.
Yeah, no, you would be right if we cooked it that way, but most people peel it, they unshell it, if you will, then they cut it up in these really nice slices, and then they add those slices.
I mean, you can cut up into slices, but you're still going to have the skin on it, so I don't see what you gain from that process.
Fair enough. You know what? I look at it this way. It's the best of all four food groups. You've got your meat. If you add ham or pineapple or ham or pepperoni or something like that, then you've got your fruit, then you've got your cheese, and then you've got your wheat with the pizza. So it's kind of all four food groups.
The problem is the four food groups. I think that was a scam by some segment of the food production in the United States. So I don't think that's really valid for any purpose.
I try to make it valid.
Maybe the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I'm a 90s kid.
We were in elementary school and then it became the food pyramid. But I think even now they're saying the food pyramid is bad. And now it's just whatever AI tells us to eat.
That's right. Whatever AI tells us to eat. All right. Fair enough. Well, you know what? My wife is Italian, so you would like that. I'm half Italian and half Scottish. So my wife is Italian. And when she makes the pizza, she makes it her own dough, which is amazing. She puts on the sauce, she puts on the cheese, and then sometimes we'll add roasted red peppers. We'll add a little Italian sausage. We'll also add some green olives if we're in the mood, spice it up a little bit. And then also Clamato olives, the purple ones, which are really good, and mushroom. So those we mix these things up. What do you think about those toppings, Luigi? Am I okay?
Wait,
Have I redeemed myself?
can you say the toppings again?
Okay, so we've got we got the cheese, we got the sauce, then we got the Italian sausage, roasted red peppers, green olives, Clamato olives, and mushrooms.
Ugh. That I mean, you can't get a better than that. That's a good set of toppings. My grandmother, she used to make roasted and marinated bell peppers in a jar. Delicious.
Mhm.
Always just ate them raw. Would have loved to have one of those on a pizza, but it sounds great.
Perfect. I've redeemed myself in the world of pizza. Now, in terms of wrestling training, when you were training and you were preparing to enter into the ring, you've been around for a little over 11 years now since you've been pro wrestling. How does one train with pizza dough? Do you just start regular bumps or then move up to the pizza dough, or did you do everything at once?
Yeah. So it's when you start, you're just learning wrestling fundamentals and also pizza fundamentals. So we learn the basic pizza tossing hand techniques here, and then from there you can I've adapted it obviously to various strikes and various escapes and distractions that I can use in my match. But it doesn't happen all at once. In fact, I used to mostly just do regular wrestling and didn't really incorporate the pizza into it enough. But as the process went on, as I trained more as a wrestler, as I made more pizzas, I began to combine it more and more. And then as I got better at that, I started pushing the envelope. And so now each day, each week, I'm practicing different techniques to do with the dough, to try in the ring on a people. Just day before yesterday, I was at the wrestling school. I was training with a new up-and-comer, doing a new pizza dough technique. And, I feel very bad because I did a move that I thought would go a certain way, and it didn't quite work how I wanted, and I hurt him. Didn't need to hurt him at a practice. But so, with anything in wrestling, it's a trial and error that you have to be very careful with for yourself and for others.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're dealing with a pizza.
Absolutely. Of course. I completely agree. Now, I mean, you've gone viral with so many of your videos. They are amazing. They're heartfelt. They're fun. They incorporate all of the best things about Luigi, which is the dough, the pizza, and the wrestling. But out of all the videos that you've done, do you yourself have a personal favorite? Like some videos have reached 9, 10, 20 million. Some have reached hundreds of thousands. But does Luigi have a favorite video? When he looks back, he's like, that's a good video.
I think the ones that I'm really proud of all of the not all of them, but most of the ones where I'm doing some physical stunt. It's something I've worked pretty hard at, so I'm always very happy when I see that people appreciated that because it makes me feel like the hard work has paid off. I think my favorite video has to be me and Shima in Japan wrestling, and I use my pizza dough, and just the camera work is very, very professional, and the Shima is screaming, and I'm like very intense, and so and plus there's random Japanese commentary, which I think makes it like if you watch it, that makes it even stranger. To where if you're not a fan of wrestling, there's no way for you to contextualize what is happening, which makes it a very special video in my opinion. Another one I like a great deal is me wrestling a Tarek at a main event of wrestling, and I'm doing the reverse bicycle with the pizza dough, and he tries to grab it, and I get him in the top double wrist lock. It's very simple, but again, it's shot in such a cool way, and I'm on this. The audience is on the same page with me, so they're sort of following the action very closely. And so when I hit him with that top wrist lock, it feels very cool because everything is shot and received in such a way. So I like that video a lot too.
Yeah, you know what? It's great that you brought up main event wrestling because that's another reason why we're here. When this drops, you're going to be back at main event wrestling literally 4 days later. This is dropping on the 1st. You're going to be there on the 4th. and you're going to be back in action. Main Event Wrestling is a great promotion out in the great province of Quebec. I love Quebec. I love the food. I love the people. I love everything. I just don't like the hockey team. I'm from Toronto, so Luigi, the battle lines are drawn. I'm a Maple Leafs
Right.
fan. I said this every time I rep Quebec. I love Quebec, but every time I got to remind people I'm a Maple Leafs fan, okay? That's it. 100%. 100%. But now when it comes to Main Event Wrestling, that match with Tarek that you talked about is phenomenal. It's a great match. It's incredible. And when your striking ability is as good as yours is, and then you've got somebody like Tarek who's literally his striking ability is second to none as well. Get the two of you together in a ring, strike for strike. It's incredible. When you face an opponent like Tarek, do you feel like you come out of the match different than when you started the match? If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I would say absolutely in a more ways than a one. Tarek is the kind of opponent that I like to face. He's strong physically. He's aggressive. He's gonna hit you as hard as he can. And so from those matches, I feel like I grow as a person because I really have to bring it to get to their level, and I come out of it feeling like I'm a better wrestler. And also physically, as a wrestler, we learn to, I don't want to do the whole tired trope of like, oh, I'll show you how real it is, because that's very corny to say. So I don't need to be so blunt about that, but I do, you do have to prepare your body for the punishment it's going to take. And so I'm proud when I can receive that punishment. And even though it has a lasting effect on me, I can continue going, because that's what it means to be a wrestler, is to take a beating and continue, hopefully a win. Luckily, I was able to win at our last encounter despite taking a beating. But win or lose, you moving. And it was a good experience for me to fight a wrestler of the caliber of a Tarek. And if he wants another shot at it, I'm happy to oblige. Happy to oblige.
Absolutely. Now, when I look at this card, it's absolutely stacked for Doomsday, which is the event on April 4th. Yourself's going to be there. Stu Grayson's going to be there. The main event monster, Madman Fulton's going to be there. The Diamond, Zach Patterson. You've got Al Shato, the champion. You've also got, a couple of Ontario's own, KPK. You got Matty Z. Yeah, Yane Harrison. There's a lot of amazing talent on this card. And when somebody like Main Event can put everything together with such a spectacular amount of talent, how incredible is it to be part of these shows with all this amazing young and up-and-coming indie talent, as well as somebody as yourself?
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, anytime somebody brings me onto a show and it tells me that I can bring value and that the people want to come and see me, it makes me feel happy and accomplished. And if I'm in the presence of such a high caliber of a performer, of an athlete, then it makes me feel especially good, because that's like a saying, I'm on the level of these people. That's not like, many of them are far more athletic than I am, but we are all there in the same place. And for me, that's maybe the thing about wrestling I enjoy the most, is being a part of a certain community. And we're all, as wrestlers, we're all trying to break through to the layer above, where we're seen as a part of this certain tier of wrestlers. I will say I'm very happy with where I am in wrestling, because I have met so many people that when I go to a different town, maybe I see, it's Brian Cage is there. And I don't talk to that guy on the phone, but like, we see each other in different towns. And so we always have a nice interaction. Or like Fulton, I'll be happy to see him again. It really makes me happy to have this continuity of experience that comes from seeing the same people over and over again. And the opportunity to face people, especially multiple times, is great, because you can pick up the pieces of maybe things you dropped in your last encounter, and you continue building towards this story, like walking the King's Road of your journey as a wrestler. And so I think that Main Event will be a great way to continue that, and to show how much I've grown, and what I can do to change the wrestler I'm facing. I'm not only going to be the one coming out of it changed.
I like that. I like that. That's very, 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 very amazing statement. I appreciate the honesty on that question. Now, I do have to ask this. I mean, you've wrestled all over the world, and you've shown your talents all over the world: Japan, Canada, the U.S., Mexico, everywhere. But what is one of the places that you may not have wrestled yet that you would love to sprinkle a little bit of pizza sauce all over the place?
I think probably maybe England. I think I would like to do England. Any Southeast Asian country, I would like to go to, like Indonesia or Vietnam. Like, there's not a lot of wrestling out of there, but those would just be cool places to visit. But a place like England has such a vibrant wrestling community that I'd like to go and to see what it's like. So I'm going to say England.
I think you would kill it over there in England for sure. I mean, we have to get you in Ontario though. I'd like to see you, up close and personal and get you in Ontario.
I feel like I might have wrestled in Ontario before. I've wrestled in Edmonton, in Montreal, and or Montreal, Quebec, Vancouver. I'm sorry, it's probably not the name of the province. It's probably the name of a city.
British Columbia, yeah, Vancouver's in
British Columbia. There it is.
Yeah, there.
Man, I'm not sure. I don't know if I've wrestled in Ontario. No, wait. Toronto. I've done Toronto because the Morgan brothers, they run out of Toronto, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't believe I've been to Ontario.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, you know what? That's going to change because I'm one of the, podcasters here in Ontario and in Canada, and I love Rapping Pro Wrestling. So there's going to be some definite promoters out here that they're going to see this and probably going to want to contact you. So I hope that we can get you out to Ontario. Now, I have to ask. I mean, when I eventually do get to meet you, when you do come out to Ontario, people probably bring you pizza dough to sign. People probably bring you pizza, sauce jars to sign. Is there anything crazy that you've been asked to sign? Have you been asked to sign a pizza dough? I mean, I would bring you out a pizza dough and I would make you sign it. I would.
Not a raw pizza dough. Actually, now that you mention it, people haven't brought in live food products. Nothing that needs to be refrigerated has been brought to me, which I would like that if people just brought me like a bell pepper for me to sign. And I could, because we would just need it to dry it. If it had some moisture, the waxy skin would make it a smear.
Yeah.
But I don't see why I couldn't sign a bell pepper or a garlic, a clove, or maybe the rind of a wheel of some kind of a very dry cheese, like a Parmesan. These are all things you can bring me for me to assign, and I'll sign it for you for $40.
Perfect.
Well, probably for a much less or for a free.
Oh, perfect. What about sauce jars? You ever get sauce jars brought to you?
I've never had a sauce jar brought to me.
Well, I got people. What are we doing? You got to get this kind of stuff.
I generally discourage people from bringing glass receptacles to a wrestling show.
Fair enough.
I did destroy a bottle of Giardiniera at a performance like 6 months ago.
Oh,
yeah.
And how was that? How was that?
It was mixed. The crowd immediately. Well, because it wasn't a wrestling show, it was just a one-man sort of acrobatics demonstration, and I punched the dough into a jar of Giardiniera that went into the ground and exploded. And there was a gasp, and the air just went out of the whole room, and there was like oily glass everywhere, and it was unpleasant, but I do not regret it.
You can't regret things like that, Luigi. You have to just be in the moment. You have to be in the moment. 100%. Now, listen, this is another, point that we definitely have to touch on. I mean, with all your viral success of everything that you've done and all the places you've traveled over the world, you were also able to showcase your skills on national television, AEW. How was that experience for Luigi Primo all around from beginning to end?
Man, it was great. I already came into it with a lot of experience being produced in various shows because I've been involved in so many shows over the years. So I felt like I could just, slot in, do what was asked, and I enjoyed the way they had things set up there. I found the environment to be very cool. It was very fun to be there. It was another one of those times I was saying where I got to see some of people that I knew that I had met in other places, and so that was it's always great to see people in any wrestling show, but to see people that you know before and meet up with them again at a major company show, that was a unique feeling. That feeling it is probably the feeling that people look for most people look for in their lives, because that is the feeling of the hard work has a paid off at the highest level, which, I mean, in the end, it's all these emotions we feel will go away and we will all die. But as far as emotions go, and that was one of the top ones that I've experienced, I would say.
Absolutely.
And I appreciated them for having me, for Jericho for having me, and Tony Khan for reaching out. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I felt it was cool. It was a lot of fun. It was very cool.
Awesome. Amazing. Now, this is a question I don't know exactly how you might react, but I'm going to ask it anyways. A lot of times people I think may have judgments based on who you are as a pro wrestler. They see the videos, they think, oh, this is who this guy is. This is what this guy does. But have you ever gone to a show and I guess been underestimated, and then maybe after a fan will come up to you when there's a meet and greet happening or something like that and be like, dude, you know what? Like, I love the gimmick, but you really impressed me with your skill level. Has that ever happened where people kind of maybe label you a certain way and then you surprise them, which I know you have the ability and the talent to.
Oh yeah,
But has that ever happened?
Oh yeah, all the time, and I find that a mark of success if I can, convey that I make a pizza, and that I am Italian, and that I wear an apron. I can present all these things to where people find it, funny or whatever, and then also deliver on the wrestling end. Um, Having people be surprised like that is something that I aim for. I try to surpass expectations, because I think that's part of the fun of wrestling is seeing things you don't expect. And I think people might have been surprised that even though I make a pizza and do these things with the dough, like if totally left to my own devices as far as what I would do, they might be surprised as to some of the choices that I'd make, and some of the wrestling that I would choose to do. One time that was a pretty cool was I don't think Little Guido knew who I was per se. He had like maybe a small idea, and we tagged together. And I was just like, what do you think I should do? And he's like, he's like, so what level are you? Like he assumed I was just a random guy. Like I imagine a lot of people would have think, and Santana Jackson, I would imagine people think the same thing about a wrestler like that. But afterwards, in the match, I did normal things in a match, and then afterwards I was like, how was it? And he's like, wow, you take great bumps. You take great bumps. Wow. And so that I felt that was very gratifying to have Guido tell me that I took good bumps after maybe thinking I was just like a random guy, which because it was an ECW kind of throwback show, so like it would totally make sense for him to have a partner who's a random guy in like a show like that. But that was a good experience.
That's a really cool story, man. That is a really cool story. Do you think sometimes that being of Italian descent and kind of having this character that represents your heritage, do you think sometimes you get labeled or kind of put in a box of like Italian characteristics of what you can and can't do?
Eh, I- mm, Yeah, I think I try to stick to what I do best, which is make a pizza and the wrestling. I try not to get too far from that. I try not to divert my focus too much, because then it's going to, if I divert my focus, then I won't be able to achieve my goals, because you need to have a forward momentum with an almost unbelievable amount of pressure to accomplish almost anything. So I try and maintain my focus, make a pizza, wrestling. That's it. And that's what I want to do, and that's what I want people to see me as. But I will say that there's an old saying in my country there's always a price. So like, I mean, I have a lot to give, and I hope that people enjoy it, but there is always a price. There will always be something that is thrown in that people probably are going to like or a want or a need, but I'm going to do it anyway, and nobody can stop me.
That's awesome. I love that. That's a great saying. So April 4th, Doomsday, MEW. Do you have any idea who your opponent is? I'm looking on their Instagram. I haven't seen any announcements. Do you have any idea who you're facing?
I have no idea. As I mentioned, I would be happy to, Tarek had some salty things to say after our match, so I'd be happy to give him another opportunity, but I leave it to the eminent booking intelligence of the people there to give me the opponent they want, and I will beat them using a pizza.
Absolutely, you will. Now, I mean, I don't want to give away your strategy because you prepare for everyone. I know you always prepare for, no matter who you're facing, you're prepared for every kind of situation. Is Luigi Primo working on any new strikes or any new things that may surprise his opponent? Are we going to see some more? Because the stuff you can do with the dough is incredible. The way you can move it and the way you can maneuver it and the way you've worked it into strikes is amazing. Is there something that you're working on to try to perfect something different that they may not be able to see coming?
Well, without saying it too much, the thing I've always focused on is making a pizza using a pizza myself. But I've been thinking about what if I could find a way to make my opponent make a pizza unintentionally. Oh. That would, it would follow Tsung Tzu's saying of you get twice as much if you get your opponent to pay for your food. So that's what I am going to attempt, is to maybe get them to accidentally do some things with a pizza. I'll just to say that.
I could be into that. I could be into that. They could knead the dough. They could cheese it up. They could there's a lot of things that they could do. Yeah, you could really make somebody make a pizza very special. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think like I would just, maybe I move the pizza in such a way to where they either have to move or something weird happens to them with the pizza. So either way, it's humiliating.
I love it. Now, I mean, do you have any special ingredients to make your dough dense as it is for that striking ability? Do you add a little extra flour? You add a little extra yeast? How? Because I mean, when you strike people with that dough, it sounds like it hurts.
High gluten flour. High gluten flour. You add a little more salt than a normal, and then you have to knead it as long as possible. The more you knead it, the more that it's the fiber micro strands are going to strengthen. So ideally you have a dough mixer, but if you don't have a dough mixer, you just need to knead it by hand, use your elbows, use your fists. You do that for like 30 minutes or more, and it'll get tougher and tougher. And then you can let it rise for a little bit, but if you're using it primarily for combat, you can fight with it, and then you let it rise more, then you make a pizza with it.
Perfect. Amazing. Combat pizza lessons from the best pizza chef in the world, ladies and gentlemen, Luigi Primo. Luigi, this has been an incredible conversation, something that's been on my bucket list for a long time, and I'm honored and privileged to say that I was able to sit down and speak with you. And if you could, for me, if you could look in the camera, give that Luigi Primo energy and say, you just had a great conversation with Straight Talk Wrestling, and people should have subscribed.
I'm Luigi Primo, and I make the best pizza. I just had a great conversation on a Straight Talk Wrestling, and I think you should subscribe, and I'm going to make you a pizza someday if you order from me and you come to my city. Even if you don't subscribe, but please do subscribe. I'm Luigi Primo.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, the best pizza chef in the world, Luigi Primo. Thank you so much. If you guys are in the Montreal area, please be sure to check out Main Event Wrestling, April 4th, Doomsday. The card is stacked, and Luigi will be in the house showing all his special skills off to the Montreal wrestling faithful. As always, I'm your host, your boy, George Mackay. This is my guest, Luigi Primo. Peace, love, and wrestling. See you next time. Peace.
Yo. We just people from the north side. Want some Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the full ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.